How y'all doing?
Woo!
Are you ready for Inside the Voice Actors Studio with Tony Oliver and Vic Mignogna?
Woo!
So excited. All right, before we get started though, I just have a few things I want to tell you guys about so you can take full advantage of the con. First of all, when you walked in, you might have received a little red ticket. Do you have your little red tickets? You do, that's wonderful. We are raffling off at the end of this panel a couple of fast passes for the open auditions. Now, if you don't know about the open auditions, we're doing them every day of the con. Sign-ups are from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. And that is your chance to come in, audition to be a part of a real-life anime. We'll fly you out to Los Angeles, where you will record an anime character. So, I think that's a pretty cool deal. What do you think?
Woo!
Alright, so we're going to wrap this up at the end of the panel, but make sure that you stick around so that you can take advantage. And then also, just so you know, at around 2:30, we're going to have another panel in panel room 3 with Mami Okada. It's called How to Audition. It's a really great panel. I recommend coming, especially if you're interested in going to those open auditions to get a little leg up on the competition. Don't you think? Wouldn't that be good? Yeah. Alright, well I want to keep this short and sweet because I know I'm not the person you want to see. Oh, I forgot. My name's Laura Stahl, by the way. I'm a voice actor. I've worked in Hunter x Hunter and Gundam, Thunderbolts, Bandit Flower, and Little Witch Academia, and little things like that. But hi! It's not that cool. There's other really, really cool people here. But I just wanted to, without further ado, talk to you about a really cool guy. You know him as Rick Hunter in Robotech, and recently on Adult Swim there was Lupin, where he played Lupin. And he's currently directing JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. He's working on Hunter x Hunter, and he did Fate Apocrypha, which, oh my gosh, it's so good. But without further ado, let's give a big round of applause to Tony Oliver.
That was a strangely satisfying sound. Play the video. Glad to be here, and thank you for joining us for Inside the Voice Actors Studio here, powered by Bang Zoom. Speaking of Bang Zoom, that's where I'm going to be hanging out most of the weekend, so if you want to come say hi, go down to the Bang Zoom booth. And we're also going to, today what we're going to do is we're going to talk a little bit about Vic and Vic's career and all that stuff, and we're going to do a little interview here. And then we have scripts here, and we have a microphone, and we have our Bang Zoom team, Ricky Watson, Aaron Gray, Laura, and all the people around here helping you. And we're going to get some of you guys up to do a little dubbing for us and see what that's like, so have a little fun and try your hand at it. But maybe a little practice for that open audition, right? Okay. All right, so to get started, I'd like to introduce our guest. He's, I've known him for quite a few years. He's certainly one of the most popular voice actors ever to grace anime. He's done everything from video games to anime to a really special series that we'll talk about in a few minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Vic Mignogna. The coolest pants ever.
Hi!
Hey!
Microphones.
Yeah.
How is everybody? Hi, everybody. You like my pants?
I like your pants.
He likes my pants. They have spaghetti hanging from them.
Yeah.
Kind of.
Yeah.
How are you guys?
I would look like an anemic octopus if I worked with you.
You wouldn't.
So,
no, I'm so happy to be here, man. Thanks for having me.
well, thanks for coming. This is something we generally only do like in LA, so it's kind of cool we get to do this here.
Yes.
Let's just start just with the basic questions. Well, where'd you get started? How'd you get into the art side of things? I know you had a career before this, but what led you to doing what we get to do and love to do all the time?
God.
Well, that kind
I
of
mean,
goes
it was
without saying.
just you know what, you guys, I had the weirdest experience, and I've been acting since I was very young. How many of you have already probably been on stage? You've done a theater, maybe? A lot of people already. When I was a little kid, I fell in love with acting, and you know why? Because of Captain Kirk and Star Trek. I fell in love. I wanted to go and do what they were doing on that TV show. And so I went to school and I auditioned for some school plays, and I started acting any place I could get the chance to act. community theaters, school productions, church productions, whatever. And then about 20 years ago, I was working in Houston. I was writing music professionally, writing music for television and ad productions and commercials and producing albums for singers. And I met a guy and he said, hey, you have a lot of acting experience, don't you? You should go and audition for this place in town. They buy these Japanese animated shows and they dub them into English and they're looking for actors. And all I heard was, they're looking for actors. And I didn't ask him how much does it pay. I didn't ask him, well, how will this be distributed? All I cared was, it was a chance to act, which I loved. So I went and auditioned, and ADV Films was the production company. And you could fit ADV Films on this platform, probably.
The whole company? Just
oh yeah,
right here?
Oh yeah. It was just a small little studio of guys that love anime who wanted to dub it into a language, that people could watch it and enjoy it. And so I auditioned, and I got cast as Vega in Street Fighter 2.
Yeah?
Half the people here are like, what? What is that? Before I was born. And then I just, I didn't think anything would ever come of it. It seemed like a kind of a one-off, weird kind of a thing to go do. And I went back to writing music. And a few weeks later, they invited me to do another show. It may have even been Evangelion. And,
So you're one of the 4 people that understand the show?
yeah, no. Oh, no. No. You can be in the show and have no idea what the show is about. Trust me. But, and then another show, and another show. And the reason I kind of jokingly said God is because I didn't plan any of it. You know what I mean? A lot of people, they knock on doors and they send out demo tapes and they move to other cities to try to pursue this. And it just kind of, the door opened, and I was very fortunate to be in the right place at the right time when anime was still small and growing and get involved in the industry. And so I am extremely blessed.
What draws you to it? What makes you want to act? So everybody has a different motivation. What motivates you? What is it that makes you want to do this insane job? Because it is weird.
It is, truly. And you know what's funny? When I was a little kid, I loved Speed Racer. And I didn't even know it was anime. I just knew it looked weird. And it sounded weird.
Gigantor for me.
Yeah, like it didn't look like Scooby-Doo, right? And it didn't sound like Bugs Bunny. It was different, and I didn't know why, but I loved it. And as a little boy, my friend and I would run around doing voice impressions of like the characters on Speed Racer. How crazy is it that I'm here now doing this? But what draws me to it is what draws me to acting. Honestly, I can go right back to the very days when I was 9 or 10 years old watching Star Trek, and that was moving people. Creating a moment that moves you or connects with you emotionally. Maybe it makes you laugh. Maybe it scares you. Maybe it makes you cry. Maybe it makes you want to go hug your mom. You know what I mean? Maybe it makes you want to go out and do something adventurous, whatever. To connect with people and make them feel something is what I love the most about acting. And you can do that in any acting form. Whether it's stage acting, screen acting, voice acting, the chance to create a character that moves people is what attracts me most to any form of acting.
Hear, hear.
Drink to that.
Drink to that, yes.
To you, my friend, wherever you are.
I don't know what to do with that. So you were working as a composer, and then you're kind of brought into the booth to do an anime, and it was Street Fighter.
Street Fighter 2.
What was your first session like? Because most people, it's terrifying.
Well, it was so weird because for years you watch cartoons, right, and anime when you're a little kid, and for a while it doesn't occur to you that that's actually a human being in a recording studio somewhere doing that. And it was the same for me. When they asked me to do it, I don't think until that point in my life I'd ever really thought about Oh, so like human beings do this. They actually go somewhere, and a real guy plays that voice.
And they send you a check a couple weeks later.
I couldn't believe it! You guys, can I tell you something? Don't tell anybody I said this. You Bang Zoom people, plug your ears. I would do it for nothing. And that is the biggest blessing. There are people that owe me money right now. I don't even know who they are. There are people that owe me checks for recording sessions that I did, I don't even remember. They could literally not pay me and I would never remember. I just love it so much.
Cut that part out before you stream it, please.
Oh, crap! Streaming? But I mean, and you know what, you guys, and I want to take this 1 second, just pause right here and say, you guys, find something that you love like that. And it doesn't have to be voice acting. It doesn't have to be performance-based at all. Find something that gives you that kind of joy. It could be fixing cars. It could be any number of things. Find something like that, and if somebody will pay you to do it, even if it's not a lot of money, you'll feel like you're a freaking millionaire.
Yep.
Because there's nothing more wonderful than doing something that you love and making money at it. And it doesn't even have to be a lot of money. So when this opportunity...
A lot of money helps.
Well, yeah. Yeah, but it's overrated. There are people out there that make a lot of money doing something they hate, and their lives are miserable. And you probably know some of them. You probably have friends or family members, or you know some friend of yours' parents who makes buku crazy amounts of money, and they're miserable because they've got all this money, but they hate their lives because they don't like what they do. So I am extremely blessed to get to do what I do, and I would do it for next to nothing. So every time somebody says, okay, we're going to hire you for this role, and it pays such and such per hour, and I'm like, okay. They're like, and you're going to be paid every 3 weeks, okay. And we might not be able to pay you at all, okay. I mean...
I draw the line at that one.
I added that, that was for effect. But you know what I mean, like it's never been a sticking point to me. Like, well, I'm going to have to get at least $80 an hour or something. You know what I mean? That's not important. I love the work, and that's why I appreciate any opportunity to do it.
Let's talk a little bit about the work.
Let's
talk about the work. So yeah. I'll get there.
Talk to me.
So,
Tony.
Well, so you started with, so you're obviously you're known right now for a huge show that really kind of majorly put you on the map, and that is Full Metal Alchemist. So talk to me a little about how you approach that character. He's such an iconic and very typical anime character, but you did not play him typically.
No, and you know what? That's another blessing. Because you could spend your entire career as a voice actor and never get to play a character like Edward Elric. I mean, he was such a wonderful role to play. I was so grateful to get to play him. He's a flawed hero. He makes some really bad mistakes. He screws up and he falls down and he gets back up.
And he's short.
He's not.
Security! Remove that malcontent. Yes, and short is beautiful. But I think what I loved the most about him was that, like I said, he didn't always make the right choice. And he screwed up big time, but he just kept getting up and pushing forward toward a goal. And that's something all of us can learn from. And his love for his brother. I'm an only child, and I always imagined what it would be like to have a younger brother. Somebody that I could like teach him to throw a ball or kick a soccer ball, or show him the ropes about something like a big brother would do for a little brother. And so the chance to play a character who had a younger brother, who he loved so deeply and looked out for, and they helped each other and protected and defended each other, was a great privilege. And everything about that show was perfect. I mean, I don't mean to sound partial, I know I'm subjective, but the story was amazing.
Well, obviously
the animation was amazing. The music was amazing. Everybody in the cast was amazing. The mix was amazing. It was just everything about the show was wonderful. And And it was such a privilege to be a part of it. And when I heard there was going to be Brotherhood, after we finished the original, I heard Brotherhood was coming out. At first I thought, oh, this is so great, you know, more Full Metal. And then I started thinking, oh no, what if they screw it up? Have we not all seen sequels to movies that can't come close to the original? And I thought, oh my gosh, please don't ruin something beautiful like Full Metal. And Brotherhood was amazing, you know? So Full Metal was such an amazing show. How many of you have seen the live action on Netflix? It's pretty cool. It's pretty cool. It'd be great if it were in English. Again, a little partial. But yeah.
Let me talk a little bit about processes. This is such an important character to you, and he feels it. When you approach a character like Edward, are you drawing from, I mean, where do you find him? I mean, do you draw from your own personal experience? What do you pull into to pull it off a character that deep?
You know, the one thing I had in common with Ed was that we both had dads that were jerks. The whole time, you guys know what I'm talking about, the whole time, anytime his dad is referenced, he's like, shut up. You know what I mean? I don't want to talk about him. He's a jerk. He walked out on us. I got no time for him. And when he finally got to see him, what did he do? Right? And when I started playing the role, I was looking for things to connect with. And my mom and I are very close. My dad left when I was about 9, which is right when I discovered Star Trek. That's a whole different story. But that was one of the big things I connected with him. And I didn't realize how powerful the show and the character was until I started doing events, conventions after the show was released, and people would come up and share personal stories. And I was humbled. I was speechless. Because when I started it, I never imagined that it would have an impact on people that would find it. They would discover Full Metal at a moment in their lives when they needed something, when they needed encouragement, or when they felt alone, or when they needed to be more brave, or when they were discouraged, or they had lost someone in their family, or any number of struggles. And you know what's so crazy? That's exactly what Star Trek was for me. And I know you guys are probably thinking in your own lives right now, you're totally thinking about things that you've encountered at moments in your life when you needed something to keep you going and moving forward. And so when people started sharing that with me, it was probably the first time that I realized that what we do, while it is fun and crazy and wacky, it also has the potential to mean something to people. And that is a privilege that you could never put a dollar tag on, a price tag on. It's priceless to me.
It is. It is. Yeah. Talk to me about Ruby.
Ruby! Anybody like Ruby in here? Oh my gosh, I love Uncle Crow. And Uncle Crow loves vodka. No, I just love Ruby so much. I met the people that were creating Ruby at a convention in Australia. Ironically, I had to go to another country to meet people from Austin. That's how it works. You're from Texas, I'm from Texas, and here we are in Sydney. You know what I mean? How crazy is that?
There's 2 or 3 voice actors in LA that I only ever see and hang out with at conventions.
Yeah.
In New York,
So I met these people from Rooster Teeth, and they had just started Ruby. And they came up to me and they said, "Hi Vic, we're big fans of your work, and my name is Lindsay, and this is my husband, and we work on this thing called Ruby. You want to see it?" I was like, "Sure." I just thought they were fans, you know? I thought that was really sweet, right? And they reached in their backpack and they pulled out an iPad. And they started scrolling through pictures, like drawings of Ruby. And I've seen all varying levels of fan productions and fan art and fan, series. And I looked at the edit, and I'm like, wow, that looks really great. This is really good looking, it's fine stuff, pro stuff. And then Lindsay said, you want to see Ruby fight? And I said, sure. And they showed a video of Ruby fighting, and I was like, dang, girl. This is great. So we went back home, and a couple of weeks later, somebody from Rooster Teeth called me, and they said, hey, we met you in Australia. Would you like to play a role in that show that we showed you? What didn't I say? Well, how much does it pay? How will it be released? No, I'm just like, okay. And so they sent me some images of Crow, Uncle Crow, Ruby's Uncle Crow. And they said, send us a couple of ideas of what you think this character would sound like. So I sent them 2 or 3 different voice demos, and they picked the one that you guys hear now on the show. And it's been such a thrill. I love, where is he? He's right there. Uncle Crow, looking good, baby. Do you have your flask? Yes, he's got a flask! Cheers to you, my friend. You're a sexy man. You're a good-looking man. Yeah, bottoms up.
I love anime cons. Good. So, okay, so Ruby's done well. What I want to talk, finally, before we get into the last thing, we still want to do? Yes, let's talk about Star Trek. So, your love of Star Trek was so impactful to you that you went out and made your own series.
Yeah, talk about a nerd, right? Like, nerd's not even a big enough word. Like, it's only 4 letters. I mean, I need a really long, somebody make up a really long word for a nerd that is so crazy that they like pour thousands of dollars and make their own show where they play Chief Nerd. What is it? It's not Mignogna, don't say that.
Not even remotely dorky.
I like that. You guys, I loved the original Star Trek when I was a little boy. It moved me and thrilled me. And here's the thing, it challenged me to try things that I'd never tried before. And you all have something in your life like that. Do you remember the first time you saw, like how many of you draw? A lot of you, I'll bet. Do you remember the first time you said to yourself, I want to draw that? And a little voice inside your head said, what are you talking about? You've never drawn anything in your life. You don't know how to draw. But you tried it. And you were good at it. And you discovered that you had this natural ability. Or maybe it was singing. You heard a song and you wanted to sing that song and you started singing it and you sounded good. And you didn't even realize you could do that until that moment, right? Y'all have something in your mind you're thinking of right now like that? Whether it was sports, somebody threw you a ball and you threw it back and you're like, dang, I can throw good. You know what I mean? That moment when you discovered something for the first time you had no idea you were good at. I watched Star Trek and I started wanting to build communicators and make phaser props and make my own uniforms. I'd never done anything like that in my life. But this show inspired me to try creative things. And I found that I kind of had a knack for them. And then I even started wanting to act because I wanted to move people the way that Kirk and Spock and McCoy and Scotty moved me. Fast forward many years, we won't say how many. Don't do the math. And about 5 years ago, I decided I wanted to make an episode of Star Trek the way that I remember Star Trek. Guys, Star Trek isn't about firing phasers. It's not about fighting the Klingons. They're human stories about the human condition and moral questions, ethical dilemmas, social issues, couched in an imaginative sci-fi story. So I put a bunch of my own money into building all the sets, just like they were in the original series.
If you haven't seen them, they are full-size, absolutely minutely accurate sets.
StarTrekContinues.com. Look it up on your phone, and you can see we've completely recreated the original soundstage from the original series. And then I brought a bunch of my friends together, and we made an episode of Star Trek. And our first episode even had an actor who was in an original episode 50 years ago reprise his role. Michael Forrest. It was amazing. I got to fulfill my childhood dream. Laura, I fulfilled my childhood dream of playing Captain Kirk. I was nerding out. I'm standing there doing a scene with Michael Forrest, who 50 years earlier was doing a scene with William Shatner. And like, I was there. I mean, can you imagine the 12-year-old inside of me? You know? And so we made this episode, and I didn't have any plans to make more. I was gonna make one, and it was gonna be a really good story, and I was gonna do the best I could with it. My college degree was in film, so I knew a lot about directing, shooting, editing, sound design, lighting, elements of production. We released the episode, Pilgrim of Eternity was the name of the episode, and people loved it. I was amazed and very happy, so we launched crowdfunding campaigns to make more. And today, I can sit before you and tell you we've made 11 full-length episodes, over 7 million views. And what we've done is we picked up right where the original series was canceled in the late 60s, unexpectedly canceled. It didn't have an ending, it just stopped. And the next time you saw those characters was 10 years later in Star Trek The Motion Picture. But by then, a lot of things had changed. Captain Kirk had taken a promotion, become an admiral, Spock had gone back to Vulcan, all the characters had gone their own separate ways. So my desire was to fill that space. And those 11 episodes start right where the original series was canceled, and they end right where the motion picture picks up. And here's the best part. It's all free. You guys go to StarTrekContinues.com and tell your parents, because I bet they're Star Trek fans if you're not. Tell your uncle, your school teachers, your neighbors. It's all free to watch. 11 full-length episodes. You will see a lot of familiar faces in the show at StarTrekContinues.com. Okay?
So there you go.
Thank you. Thank you.
So I want to move into a little more interactive portion of this a little bit now. So we're going to give some people a chance to come up here. Not yet, it's on Netflix, just started out there. Okay. So Fade Apart, this is a Stolfo. And a Stolfo is a warrior. He was a person who worked with Charlemagne back in the day, and is very kind of strong and forceful, and kind of tries to lead the way all the time. Okay, but he presents as a girl, so there's kind of this kind of, it comes off like a really strong woman. Okay, so that's what we're looking for. The process here is pretty simple. We're going to go one line at a time. If you notice, there's a single line there, and there's a time code. That time code relates to that number up on that type of that picture. Okay. You're going to hear beeps leading you in. So it's going to go, I can't see the screen now. Oh yeah, thank you. So it's beeps, beep, beep, and talk. So we're going to show you one line in Japanese. When you do, that's called the preview. So he'll preview the line. When you're previewing, you're looking into how long you have, how fast do I have to talk, is there any pauses, how angry, how loud, that sort of thing. Okay? All right, the other thing I want you to do is talk with that microphone nice right in front of it. I'm going to have Laura is going to be our mic stand today. So that you can have both hands free.
This is a promotion.
So let's preview really quickly. Sorry, I'm going to block something for just a moment. And this is both from Fade Apart. From what's going on, she's encountering Spartacus, who's a berserker and not a very nice person. So she's trying to deal with that. So let's take a look at the first slide. Slide 64. Preview. Astolfo's right here. Let's Your job is to act that line and fit it in that mouth. There you go.
Seriously?
Nice. It goes a little slower. And you do that by giving a little attitude. Just give it some attitude. The attitude will slow you down. One more time.
Seriously?
Nice. So just to point out what you do there, that little tone at the top, that's called free life. All right, we call that free life. And usually we'll use that, we may not keep it, but it's a great thing to use because it gets you into the line and we can always cut it out. So nice job. All right, so next line, 65. So nice and loud. You're calling out for something. Here we go.
Those so far, hear my voice!
Wow. Got a little Naruto going on in there. Shout please! All right, let's go on. Next line. That's nice job. 66. The underline means it's off camera, Joe.
Those near ACen.
All right, good. A little stumbly at the top. One more time. Be nice and clean with those near.
Those near ACen.
Nice. And moving on to 68. So now you're going to interrupt yourself on this. You're going to try to start to say Charlemagne, but then you get interrupted. Open mouth, terrified yell. Okay? Here we go. Breathe. Love this show! All right, here we go.
I am one of the 12 heroes of show.
Good. So, you're a little late to the beeps. There's a couple ways to do beeps, by the way. You can count them in with fingers. I like to use physical stuff if you can't find it. Just naturally. So count your way in, okay? And the yell piece will be a little longer. Okay. You'll just carry it all the way off there. Okay?
I am one of the 12 heroes of show.
Good. There we go. Nice. You got a great eye. And moving on to 70.
You could have at least let me finish.
Good. So there's a clenched teeth recovery reaction. So that's the kind of the landing part.
You could have at least let me finish.
Move that all to the right. And we'll go to 71. And what you're referring to is doing that little heralding thing that you were saying before the attack that he interrupted.
I haven't got to do that in a while.
Be a little more like, like kind of upset.
I haven't got to do that in a while.
Nice. Good. Excellent. Excellent. Let's play this back. And Chris going to give you a little advice on some coaching there. So.
Collapse and the pride of the strong to be scattered!
Seriously? Those afar, hear my voice! Those near, gaze in awe. I am one of the 12 heroes of Shallow. You could have at least let me finish. I haven't got to do that in a while.
Oh my gosh. First of all, the first thing I noticed, which is extremely important, is being able to take direction. usually a director is going to have a vision for what he wants, right? And you may have a vision for what you want, which is cool, but it's not as important as the director's. I learned this the hard way, believe me. So it's very important to be flexible. If he says, give me a little more of this, or even if you're like, man, I didn't really see it that way, don't tell him that. That's the way not to get hired again, right? Because they want somebody that they can work with, you know, and somebody that's flexible and easy to make quick adjustments like that, and you did that. That was fantastic. The only advice, are we using this scene again, like we're using this with different people? Oh, okay. This is one of my favorite things to do when I voice act. I always look for physical things that the character is doing for you to do to help connect you to the character physically. And I saw a couple here, okay? Your second line, at the end of your first line, you jumped, right? She jumped. She said her line and then she jumped. And then she landed and she said her next line. And then, when she blew backwards and she kind of rolled and stuff, all of that physicality, if you're able to work it in, directors would love that, even if it's not scripted, you know? Like at the end of your first line, can we play one more time? Play one more time. Can we keep this live or not?
Strong to be scared.
Watch your first line.
Seriously?
Push, land.
Hear
See
my
that?
voice!
They're right part of they're part of the line, and you can work. What was the other one? Can you play from there? Can you play from there? And there was one more.
Those afar, hear my voice! Those near, gaze in awe. I am one of the 12 heroes of Charlotte. You could have at least let me finish. I haven't gotten to do that in a while.
You should. Awesome. Yeah, you see where there are places where she's rolling and standing back up and landing. If you're able to work in any kind of effort, even like okay, you know, I haven't got to do that in a while. You know what I mean? Like that, maybe if you're a little winded or if you're coming off of an exertion, that helps bring life to the character, as opposed to just standing there and saying the words, you know what I mean? You were amazing though. That was fantastic. Good job. Give her a round of applause.